Hi, and welcome everyone to this episode today. Let me introduce Mimi Novic from UK in this episode. Mimi is an internationally known as one of the most respected motivational and self-awareness teachers in the field of self-development and spiritual growth. She is one of today's best-selling authors and is rated amongst the best inspirational, motivational, and spiritual books in the world. With her quotes and writing, she guides us to a place where you can discover the real purpose in life and joy. Everything you need for inspiration and living a beautiful life, books, music, meditation, and affirmation cards you can find from Mimi's work. I highly recommend her podcast and The Source of Motivation, Secrets for an Inspirational Life, that is ranked in the top 10 in UK. She is a motivational speaker and a voice artist. She interviews guests from all walks in life, and they all share their stories, from the lows to the highs, and the struggles and success we all share as a human being. So, Mimi, I'm so grateful for having you in my channel and sharing with me, supporting the work I offer to people. I have this quote that I want to read first, and it's Mimi's quote. Throughout this journey of life, we meet many people along the way. Each one has a purpose in our life. No one we meet is ever a coincidence. And that's why I think that I reached out to you. And you answer yes to come to my channel, Mimi. And I choose this topic today. It's not what you look at, it's what you see. So very welcome, Mimi.
Oh, thank you, Cecilia. Thank you so much for inviting me. What a lovely pleasure.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have you here, and you have so much to share and to offer with all your knowledge. And so, how do you see uh, the topic that I choose? You wrote it by yourself, that it's not what you look at, it's what you see.
Oh, wow. Yes, indeed. I thought about this for a long time and I realized that it doesn't really matter what is out there in the world, or who is out there. It's sort of a little bit of a dream like state for a lot of us. It's not what you look at, it's what you see. Absolutely. Because every single one of us sees things in a different way. We see them as we are, not really as it is in a lot of circumstances, because it depends on where we are in life. It depends on our circumstances, on our dreams, on our failures, of who we are as souls. Because what you see and what I see is completely different. And we may be looking at exactly the same thing. So I think what I was thinking when I wrote that is that it doesn't matter where you are in life, it really matters what you are and who you are. And that's one of the most important things that we forget is that every single person is at a different stage in life. They are not on the same path. None of us, not one single person is on the same journey towards their own inner realization. And it's such a vast subject, Cecilia, but for me, it was so intriguing that here we have, I don't know what they say, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and every single one of us has different eyes. There's the eyes that are the physical eyes, but then also the eyes of the heart, which is something that is a very beautiful and a very special thing. And when we look with the eyes of the heart, we can see what is beyond this world. But we have to be brave enough. We have to be open enough to do that. And it's not always possible because life is difficult at times, as you and I discussed before. But the eyes of the heart is something that is divine and unique to every single person. I don't know whether that explains it. We could go on for hours talking about it.
Yeah, and
But
we were talking.
yes, but very simply put, it's sort of a 0.001 explanation of what it means to me. I hope that helps.
Yeah, we were talking about when we go in another level with ourselves, when we started to open up for more, we maybe got an insight. The insight can be big and it can be huge. Like mine was very huge that I had for a couple of years when it changed my well-being. Then it opened up for another seeing, but it also opened up for a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So it was both good because I could see more that I was like I didn't see before, but even though that I could see more, I just felt a lot of pain also, but it started to relieve after a while. But when you meet that, it open up for more in your heart. It was what I felt.
It's true, because when we go through certain things in life, I mean, you and I could sit side by side and look at a rose. And, you know, when people are in love, everything looks so beautiful. The rose is so beautiful. The world is wonderful. You love everybody, and the sun shines brighter, and the stars are so wonderful. But when you're sad and you look at the rose, your feeling is completely different. You can see the thorns of the rose. You can see different things, and the rose takes on a new meaning. So this also is a part of humanity, I think, is that it depends where we are in our life at that moment. If we are in a stage of change, huge change, then really we are somehow being stripped open. Our consciousness is being stripped open so that we are ready to perceive the next level, to see the next level, to become the next level. But ultimately, we are everything already. It's just our realization and our perception that changes the world in front of us and ultimately within us.
And people can say to me, but how could that happen to you? It doesn't happen to me. I don't get that insight. I want to have that insight. And yeah, I don't know. I think it maybe was that I had enough. I had enough of all my heavy thinking that I that wasn't true. I had a lot of ongoing thinking that wasn't true. It didn't felt at all nice to live life and have all this bad thinking about myself.
The mind is a fascinating thing, and the mind is really a tool that, you know, keeps us sane a lot of the time, but also can drive us a little bit crazy because we all have that element within us. But fundamentally, I believe, speaking from experience of my experience, is that unless you're leading from your heart, the mind is always going to confuse you. And people say, don't listen to your heart. You know, you've got to be rational. And I say to people, well, actually, no. The heart knows the way, it knows where it needs to go. It is the purest of essences. And if you can have the courage to follow that inner voice, that gut feeling that you know is correct, and the mind will fight. It will say, no, 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 you don't want to do that, and this can happen, and this can happen, and you're like this, and you're like that. But the mind will always give reasons for you to do something or not to do something. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. But the heart, and I mean the true essence of the heart, will always know the way. And the conflict happens, I believe, when we don't listen to our heart. That's where the conflict is, because the mind wants, and the ego, because that's a really tricky thing. The ego wants to be number one. It wants to have roses, you know, in its hair and, you know, have this VIP treatment. But the ego is what's tied to the earth. But the heart is what's tied to the divine. And if we can be brave enough and courageous enough to follow the heart to the point of really life and death, I don't think we will be able to survive in this world.
I can see that what happens to me was a transform, because I was in a hurt in my body, and I was in a hurt in my stomach, everywhere, and I had a lot of addiction, and suddenly when I realized, when I gave it up, and I had this huge insight that oh, I'm up in a story, I'm up in my thinking. When I realized that, I started to recover from, so that's why I feel like it's that it has transformed me.
I think when we talk about addiction, which is a completely different subject, but you and I was speaking before we came on about, you know, every sickness comes from the soul, whether that be a physical one, a spiritual one, you know, a mind sickness. And addiction is, as I said, a huge subject, but it's one of, in a way, a good example of when the soul is so traumatized by different events that have happened to it that it needs to find a get out clause, I suppose, a way to run away. It needs to run. But eventually, you realize that the only place to run is back within yourself, because out there is not the answer.
I couldn't run from myself. I had
Mm.
always myself with me, so I couldn't run. It was like a stay in a inner hell.
Yeah.
When you don't realize that you can't solve it with something out there, you just need to accept the feelings, and they had to be there, and then they have to move on from, go through you.
But what was I wanted to ask you actually, Cecilia, is because you have done such a huge work um, in your life. It's remarkable. What was that turning point for you that transformed your life in such a magnificent way?
You meant when I woke up,
Yeah.
when it shift.
Hmm.
I had I wanted to stop this life. I had enough. I had been at the hospital a couple of times. I have tried all therapy forms. I had they had given me electric shocks in my head. I had stayed at the retreat center. Uh, I have been in a addiction with alcohol and medicine, and I couldn't stand it, life anymore. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had enough, and I was uh, I was sitting with this pain, and suddenly, when I was in that really bad dark hole, I I just it just happened. I also read a text from a doctor, and he said that I was so sick that I couldn't come to a place where I wanted uh, go after the retreat center to talk, and yeah, I want them to take care of me, but they said I was too sick. And when I read that in the letter, I felt like, but it's that really true?
Mm.
And something in me um, felt that no, it's not.
I think it's remarkable, really, the story that you've lived through. I think it's pretty amazing, really, that you were able to go through all of that and here you are. It's awe inspiring for
Yeah,
me, really.
yeah.
And it brings,
So
it brings a smile to my face because I think, gosh, look at this lady, what she's gone through. And here she is. She's got her life together. And
I've
you should
got
be
my
really
life.
proud of yourself.
Thank you, thank you. I got my life together, but I also know that I have to be a human being. I have to stand with every emotion that going through me, and that can be lost, and it can be um, all kinds of. I can get angry, I can get sad, all emotions, and and like we talked about before we start recording, there are levels of consciousness, and I can see that I step into new kinds of. I can see it because it hurt. It start to hurt again, like you said. It start to hurt. I can feel that, and there's something new things that I have to maybe learn, and like other people, I don't want to learn. I want to have these nice feelings all the time, but I do know that it's not possible. It's not possible for human being to have all the nice light feelings all the time. We have to have both.
We have to have both, yes. Firstly, I think we would get very bored because it would be all the same all the time. And us as human beings are curious and inquisitive, and we have to go through all of this. To be human is to feel the pain and the sorrow, the happiness and the joy. It's all part of being in this human body. And sometimes it's difficult. And a lot of times it's difficult, for sure. But isn't it beautiful a lot of the time as well?
Yeah, it really is. But we were talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about feeling being thankful for circumstances that you've gone through in life. And I hear people say that I can understand that to feel a nice feeling, you must also feel dark feelings. But I can't say like I hear people, other people I talk to, they say they are so thankful for what they're going through. But I can't, I'm not in that place that I can say that I'm so thankful for that I had that addiction, and I was staying at that retreat center, and this and that what happened in my life. But I can see that life gives us both, and I'm thankful for where I am right now, that I have that I woke up to a knowing that I have a guide inside of me that can move me through life.
It's a huge amount of strength, Cecilia, that you were able to grasp this strength, because a lot of people that go through half of what you have gone through are not able to do it. And that's the sad thing when you look out there in the world, that so many people are suffering and struggling, and maybe they've forgotten. This is the point, I think, that a lot of people have forgotten, and we all forget that our inner guide is always there. And it's our job as human beings to remind each other that we have this strength and we have this inner compass that we can use at any moment in our life. But we forget because of the way the world is. But if we always have that trust that that guide within us is there, we can always find our way. We won't be lost.
And I was lost in that sense that the doctor said you had bipolar, you have
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, you have addiction. I was taking a lot of medicine, drugs. So there was a time when I felt very lost, and I wasn't really here, and I couldn't function in life. That's why I needed to stay at that center for a couple of months to maybe do my work.
Mm.
But I can see that I am not anything of that. I can't see that I have bipolar or ADHD or anything of that. I haven't been in any psychiatrist since that day I have this shift.
But these are just labels. It doesn't mean necessarily that if someone tells you that regardless of who that someone is, that is actually who you are. In reality, only you know who you are because you live with yourself every day of your life. So only we know really who we are. And that's the great secret. We hold that secret. People can, again, see something in inverted commas and give diagnosis, absolutely, professionally speaking. But above all of that professional talk of labeling this and that, which of course goes a long way with a lot of conditions. But if we're going to go beyond that, if we're going to go deeper, if we're going to go deep into our consciousness, only you know who you are. Only you know who you are.
So Mimi, can you share a little about how did that happen for you when you saw who you are?
Well, I'm still on that journey, Cecilia.
We all are.
Yeah, I'm still on that journey. Throwing, I think, rose petals out of the train, you know. I'm still on that journey. But ever since I was a child, really, I had this understanding of the world in, I think, in a different way to a lot of children. I was sort of a little adult, I suppose. Um, I was always quite serious in a lot of ways, even as a child. But I always 1000% knew that it didn't matter what anyone said to me. What was important is that I felt in peace and that I felt comfortable with myself. So the whole world could be telling me something, but if it didn't resonate with me inside of my heart that it was the truth, I would throw it away. And actually, that's how I live my life. If it doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter what anyone is saying to me. If that doesn't feel right, then it's not for me. And I think that's important, is to have a certain level of respect for oneself, to respect your being of who you are. Because if we don't respect ourselves, it's absolutely impossible for us to respect anybody else.
Do you mean also when you say you follow your heart and you respect yourself, it also mean that you don't are together with everyone, that you also follow your heart there? It's not everyone that you resonate with.
I don't think that we can resonate with everybody because some people are on our wavelength and some people are not. To be able to resonate with everybody, you have to reach a high spiritual station for that. You know, you have to be a sage, a mystic, a saint to be able to encompass that. That's not a level that I'm on. But when I'm working from my heart, which I try to do as much as I can within my own capacity, within my own stage on this journey of life, then I can resonate with a lot of people. But there are some people that I don't, and that's fine. It just means that our alignment isn't meant to be. And it's best at that point to let people carry on the journey. And you can sometimes be with people for years and years and then separate and then rejoin the journey, and sometimes never rejoin the journey. And that we cannot know unless we take that chance, unless we follow completely the dictates of our heart and realize that some people are meant to stay in our life and some people are not. The wisdom behind it is to know the difference. And that's something I think that only we can learn through practice and through letting go of fear of what if. Well, what if I do that? What if I don't do that? What if I let go of this person? What if I allow this person to stay? Well, actually, all that's irrelevant. The mind asking this and that, it's what does it feel right in our heart? What is our body saying to us? What is our heart saying to us? And you know when you are in peace. Every single person knows when they are with their conscience. You know, at night, when they put their head on their pillow, they know, did I do things that I felt comfortable with today? Or did I do things that made my life actually not quite right today?
And it resonates with me because it's really what I have experienced for the last couple of years, that I have started to listen like you done all your life, but I haven't done that in that way. So I can feel now that when you start to listen more and more to you, to how it feels and what your heart is saying to you, it feels better. And sometimes you have to let some people walk away from you, or you walk away.
It's not easy, Cecilia.
No.
It's not easy at all. But ultimately, we must set ourselves free. That's the most important thing. We can't control, and we shouldn't really want to control, how anyone else is going to be. We don't know how they see things. We're back to that subject again. But what's important is how we see things, how we are, because we have to live with our own selves. And we must do every action as if it was our life depended on it. Because in fact, it does. Because every single action that we do is actually affecting us, inside of us and out, you know, outside of us, the people around us. So we are responsible. And that's what we've got to look at. What are we responsible for? Let us not worry about what other people are responsible for. We have no control over that. Let us look only at what can we do to make our life better, to make other people's lives better. The responsibility is always begins and ends with us.
And like the quote that I was reading about, it's not a coincidence that when we meet, who we meet. Can you tell us a little more about that? How do you see that?
I'm a great believer in destiny, and I do believe that we all have. It's a very tricky subject. You know, I'm not wise enough really to explain it in its entirety because I myself don't completely understand it, maybe 1%. But I do believe that we all are in each other's lives for a reason. I think that we have a soul contract that we made before we came to Earth with each other. And we were sent to Earth. Earth is not heaven. Earth is Earth. Earth is the place of tests. and trials and tribulations, and it can be paradise in moments, of course. And it's something that we strive for, to have this ultimate realization and this enlightenment. It's a lifelong journey. But every single person we meet, I believe, propels us and helps us to reach our ultimate awakening. You know, the ultimate awakening, the ultimate enlightenment, where we are truly as we are in our entirety. So, me meeting you and you meeting me, there's a reason for that. We may not know the reason right now, and one day we may find out. But we know within ourselves we are attracted to certain people. When we see somebody, we can feel familiar with them. It's because we recognize that familiar feeling of, actually, you and I promised each other something, and we're going to help each other. And it can only be momentary. It can be for 5 minutes, for 5 moments, or for 5 years, or for a lifetime. We don't know. But there is a soul connection. There is a connection between everybody. And especially some people that we meet can have a profound effect on our life and can completely change our life. And some people that we meet, we may not like them. But that doesn't matter, because they also have been sent to us to teach us something about ourselves. And sometimes we don't like that. We don't like it. And I don't like it sometimes, where I have to learn this lesson and I know that person is testing me to the ultimate. But as soon as I accept it, that feeling of anger or uncomfortableness disappears, because I realize they are a mirror. There's something in them that's reflecting back to me, and vice versa.
Yeah. So it can be very difficult to know. But I can also feel that there's something in the energy when I'm reading your quotes and your podcast, and I got a sense of, yeah, I'm going to connect with you, and that's something deeper than I don't know what it is, but something deeper that tells me, yeah, contact her.
Oh, and I'm glad you did, Cecilia. And that just shows you that there is a familiarity with people that you're meant to meet. You can feel sometimes within 10 minutes of talking to somebody like you've known them all your life. And you can spend a lifetime with somebody and you never actually meet them. So it's not a case of the length of time, it's actually the depth of time.
That's how you know that you are guided, because you like you say, you get the feeling, you
Yeah.
know, you know when it feels right. But like you say, it's also the lessons you have to go through. It's not comfortable, and I can feel that sometimes life is throwing you a hard lessons. And yeah, that's a good question, why it is like that.
Why does life throw you hard lessons?
Yeah. They some
Wow, what
people
a question.
some people say that's because your other life it was something when you were living your other life. So now you have to come back and live again and learn this time. I don't know. There's so many questions.
Anything's possible. I mean, why is it hard? I don't have the answer to that, in all honesty, but I don't think it was meant to be easy. I don't think that we've arrived here on earth to have an easy time. I think it's to have a productive time. It's a journey, a part of a journey towards eternity. This is not it. Earth is not it. It's not the final destination. There's so much that we can evolve and that we are evolving. A huge expansion of knowledge, of awareness worldwide now is happening in the past few years. I don't know, I'm sure that you have felt that, but for me, for sure, myself and for people that I meet are really, to quote you, Cecilia, are waking up to something far greater. They're tapping into an energy, a shift, a change towards a different world, towards a different understanding, towards a different way of living that is truly living on so many different levels beyond this material world.
And believe me, it wasn't something that I planned. It just happened. And yeah, we got a lot of belief system in our mind that tells us that it is like this and like that, and um, I can see that it was a lot of beliefs.
Sometimes the beliefs actually don't come from us, they come from external forces, such as, our parents, our
Mm.
friends, family members. It's actually their belief system that is sort of imprinted, but it's actually not us. And to break free of that belief system takes a huge amount of courage to realize, actually, I do love you, but we don't share the same beliefs. And once we become free of those chains, we can then set others free. Realizing also the very difficult thing that some people don't want to be free.
No. But it feels like I'm 52 years old now, and now life begins with, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in life. It's like a birth to new things. I don't need to do those things that I thought I was supposed to do. I'm open for I don't know what, but I'm more free to do other stuff than I thought before,
But
because
that's a
now
privilege. That's a
I
huge privilege to, in a way, you have been reborn. And I think we are all being reborn in every moment. But your consciousness has become higher. So your realization of yourself, of your true essence, is that you're becoming more aware of that. And when we become more aware of that, then we are born in every moment, because one moment is completely different to the next moment. And we are constantly changing, we are evolving. And this is a wonderful place to be. Because so many people that have gone through a lot of the things that you've gone through, Cecilia, they die not having ever fulfilled that part of their being that so desperately wanted to be recognized for who they are. And you are so privileged now to have had that awakening that you can now help others reach that awakening. That is a huge privilege. I think it's rather wonderful,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's so beautiful that you are able to have this second chance.
yeah. That's why I wanted to reach out in some way, and here we are with my channel, and that's the support that we both can give, a safe place to just listen and hear that we are not our belief systems. That's not who we are. We must go behind.
Because it's another world completely.
Yeah,
We have to let go of everything that was, in a way, in order that we can become everything that we really are. And that's not an easy job. It's not an easy task to do. But you know what, Cecilia? Once you've had that recognition that you have had, for example, you can't ever go back to how you were. You can't unsee what you have seen. You can't unfeel what you have felt. You have now been given different eyes. You're looking differently. You're seeing differently. You're being different. When people say, you must change, you must change. And I always say, you know, it's not about changing to become something completely that you're not. It's actually changing to become completely what you are. And that
yeah.
takes a lot of courage. But you're there.
It has really done that. It's really have done that. But I also, I reached out to safe people, to safe places that could point me to move on in this direction, because I connected with people that could give me this safe place to be together. Like you say, we must connect with each other and stay together with each other, because we can help each other to go in the right direction.
We can only do it together. If we believe that we are isolated, if we as human beings think that it's all about only us, it's not. This is where it all falls down, because people then become completely alone. And that's not how we were made. We were not created to be alone. We are a vast tapestry of energies. So, whatever I do and whatever you do, whether people believe this or not, it ripples throughout the entire world because we are all connected. Somehow, this thread runs through all of us, this mystical, mythical thread of life is through all of us, and we must try to join together our forces for good, to help each other, to elevate each other, to love each other, above all, to really truly love one another and allow ourselves to be loved, to feel worthy enough that we deserve that love, because we do.
And I don't think that we ever already in that journey. You always go deeper in consciousness, and when you put out your beautiful quotes, I get to remember. Oh yes, that's where I want to stay with my heart, and we put each other on the road again, so we remember who we are. So that's beautiful when we can share that kind of quotes and things to remember.
To remember, yes. That's so kind of you. It's true, because in all the work that I do, I put out the quotes and all of that uh, as reminders, really, to not tell you what to do, because you already know what to do. It's just to say, remember this. You're not alone, actually. You're not alone. And there are other people out there who feel exactly like you do. And somehow, when we know that we share that common feeling, that common understanding, it brings us a closeness to each other as people. And that's what's missing, I think, from a lot of people's lives, is that closeness, that love, that actually it might be two lines that you say to me or I say to you, but they just mean a lot. Like you've just said to me about my quotes, and that means a huge amount to me that you think that. So thank you for that, truly, Cecilia, because that in itself has made me feel beautiful inside. And what you're doing and giving this, I suppose, this retreat to people where they can speak openly is a big thing, where people can feel safe and heard, and hopefully your guests that you have can share their wisdom and their light to help people that maybe feel lost find their way again. So it's a huge service that you're doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And you also have affirmation cards.
Yes, yes. I do. I do. I've got two sets of cards. So at the moment, one of them are Rumi cards, which are quotes by the very well-known mystic Jalaluddin Rumi, who is very close to my heart. And the other set of because I will tell you why I did these cards. I did a previous set of cards as well. Um, are you familiar with him, Cecilia, with his
No,
work?
not with him, but I'm familiar with cards, because I have some cards home. I can't remember who it is who have
Uh-huh.
done them, but I have
Okay. Well, he is a mystic and a saint and a great, great spiritual leader of his time. That I've visited his tomb quite a few times, and he's all about love. And I've talked about this story many times because I absolutely love him. When I arrived at the tomb, I had so many questions. It's a very spiritual place in Konya, in Turkey. And I had so many questions to ask of my life. And all I heard for everything I asked was the answer is love. So, whatever I was asking, the answer was love.
Mm.
And I remember saying, well, I understand that the answer is love, but then what? And then I remember hearing a voice that said to me, it is not enough just to love, you must become love. And for me, that changed my life because I realized then that this alchemy had to happen. So, through all our pain and all our sorrow, the transformation in the middle of all of that, turning lead into gold, as the alchemists do, is actually love. Love is what transforms everything. So that was really important for me to do the cards. And I have an album also where I do his, read his poetry. And it was a dedication, really, of love. So that's where that came from. And then the second set of cards is daily affirmations, where you can pick up the card, think of something, and again, a little bit like the quotes, be reminded. Very gentle reminders that, in fact, we hold all the answers within us. Sometimes we forget. So that is really what the cards are about. Is my clients and people were always asking me, can we not just have something to carry with us, like a box, so we can pick it up at any time. So that's really where I was inspired to do that, is to have something where people can have readily in their bag or in their homes or at work, something they can pick up at any time and read it.
That's so beautiful. It's a gift for the people in the world. You reach out to many people. That's very good.
Oh, and so do you. And so do you.
I
And
hope
that's
I
what's
reach out to
important.
someone who really needs it, to someone who feels like they are not manage this life, and I can just say that I know how it can feel, but it's the guide inside that that let us go through it if
Yes.
we just trust it.
You know what, Cecilia? Your work, because you do this show on YouTube, and you never know who it's going to influence, because I know you mentioned in my podcast, and when you look at where, in what countries it goes to, and there were some countries actually I hadn't even heard of. um and then you think, well, look, because you don't know, where does your show actually reach? It could be reaching far and wide. So you don't actually know. But unless you're doing it, people are never going to hear about it. So keep doing it. Just keep sharing, because people need it. People in so desperate need to have this safety where they can listen and hear and hopefully learn something.
Yeah, when I shared together with a spiritual leader for a while ago, he said, uh, "You don't need to think about how many audience there are. if you just help yourself, that's one person that
Yes.
get help, and it helps also
Yeah.
for us to have these conversations. It
Mm.
helps. So
Definitely, definitely. That's a very good answer, actually.
yeah.
It's true because I started my podcast a few years ago um, during the pandemic, and my book distributor said to me, "Look, you need to do a podcast," and it started from there. I didn't want to do it, and I resisted, and then finally I gave in and said, "Oh, I have to do this." I woke up one morning and said, Mimi, you have to do a podcast. Where did that come from? Oh no. And that's how it happened. And it's sort of a sideline that I do because I meet such wonderful people.
Mm,
But actually, what I have learned through meeting these amazing people is incredible. I would never have learned it otherwise.
mm.
So, indeed, firstly, it helps me, and I'm sure your work helps you, and then it reaches out far and wide.
Yeah, that's very good. I think we stop here, Mimi. That's a
Okay.
very lovely place to end, and it was lovely to have you in this episode, and for the listener, be curious that we see what we see where we are, and there's a potential to grow and to open up for even more. That's the hope that I can give, that it's possible.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Cecilia. Really. I have learned a lot that I will be contemplating now, as I always do, speaking with such interesting people such as yourself. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, and thank you for coming. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much, Mimi.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
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 Yes.
Hello?